Do you need history to enjoy art? One of the things that I hear a lot is that the Tate should have a chronological organization of the permanent collection, which is free, you can go whenever you want, and therefore there's a particular mission of the institution to present a panorama from the beginning of the 20th century until the 80s. I frankly dispute that. We're still in the 19th century, we're still part of that flux of history. I also dispute this idea of history, to be very honest with you, in the museum, at least a museum whose purpose is basically modern and contemporary art, which are too close to be historical. There's a problem with time, I find, in this relationship we have with art and this archivist tendency that we have. As soon as the art steps into the museum, it becomes archive. Why is art of the present time called contemporary when it's the most obsessed with history and lineage? Compare the Tate's obsession with history, that people weirdly see as lacking. Take the exhibition they have currently called Performer and Participant. The title alone is something that you'd find in an art history department. And then under the title, it says, discover how arts working between the 1960s and the 1990s opened up new spaces for participation. This is actually an interesting point that they're making, but it is completely lost on you and me because it feels like something academic and boring, when actually it is talking about how art integrated us, the visitors, into the art space, as opposed to before, when it was a question of entering a space and looking at an image or walking around the sculpture. So I decided to go and look for books, authors. How are we talking about them? So I opened the Waterstones bookshop page dedicated to Joan Didion's seminal book, Slouching Towards Bethlehem. So, Jo Didion passed away a couple of years ago, and she published this book in 1968. So, of course, it's something in the past. So let's not confuse something that happened in the past or the recent past with history or a historical approach to things, to art, to reading, to books, even to information. So the synopsis, there's a synopsis, says Joan Didion's savage masterpiece, which since first publication in 1968 has been acknowledged as an unparalleled report on the state of America during the upheaval of the 60s revolution. So of course this is in the past, but it's not presented to us as something that we have to know, otherwise we will not understand anything today. It is exciting, it kind of works our intuition. For example, it talks about media reviews, reveals a wholly original analytic mind, a sensibility as expansive and idiosyncratic as a 19th century novelist. So they play with time, they're anachronistic, they talk about originality, so singularity. So they are playing with our ability to connect things that happened in the very distant past can still resonate today or not. They can be very, very different and therefore interest us because of their idiosyncratic qualities. The more I visit exhibitions that are chronological, that are organized by influences, the more I find that I'm not experiencing art. I am reading a very materialized book of a very boring person who only looks at history in terms of causation. Art is a mystery. An artist cannot be the cause of another artist.